Iron Stories, Episode 28, Spirits. Welcome back to another episode of Iron Stories. What happened so far in our story is Katania, Nesana, and Gibran ventured deep, very, very deep, into the heart, let's say, of this tomb, of this long-forgotten resting place of a very dark presence, of a very dark person. And they were going there to find a lost item of Nesana's, a silver sword that she lent to Kaivan as he was venturing down into the same place hundreds of years ago, when first the corruption started within this forest. And they found, or at least Gibran found, Kaivan lying in a corner of a cell there, and he got the sword, but this in turn led to Kaivan attack them, as he was no longer protected by the silver sword. That enacted some sort of protective barrier between the dark energy, the dark influence that was or is still in this place, and is now so it got hold back of Kaivan, and Kaivan attacked all of them, or at least there was a fight between him, Nesana, and Gibran. All in the while, in the back, Katania was just standing there, humming to her dagger. The keen she tried to activate to enter as well into this battle, but she was preoccupied by the spirits that lies within the blade, and secondly, the dark powers that are present within this place. So where we stopped here last time was that the fog, or this dark energy that fled out of Kaivan as he was slain by the silver sword of Nesana. Gibran, I think, lashed out and killed it. And so this energy fled the body of Kaivan, and then it creeps towards Katania and is like starting from the bottom up, encompassing her, trying to corrupt her as well, because she is the only thing now in this place that is not protected by a silver item, specifically a silver sword or dagger. So both Nesana and Gibran hold one sword in her hand, one of the silver sword, and that helped them overcome this dark presence that seems to have a restorative or protective barrier against it, but Katania does not. And she's, even as she is invoking the spirits of her blade, or the spirit of her blade, it is even getting, I think it's getting attracted by that as well. Just the magic or the mystical powers that are within this dagger, within the keen. And because of her bond with the lost Themon, her first victim, more or less to say, this darkness gets attracted by her. It senses the power that comes from Katania and is attracted by her. And Katania herself, as I said, is in this trance, is in this kind of catatonic state, humming. Her mind just completely goes into a state of complete emptiness, so to speak. So she just forgets everything that's around her. It blurs out, and with the darkness anyway that is in here anyway, just it fades out everything more or less to black. And there's just she basically has her eyes closed, or begins to close her eyes anyway, to concentrate a bit more into the keen and a bit more into the spirit. And it is just a single spirit that she can sense. It's just a single spirit that is here, because the spirit of Kaivan that was once here, that got snuffed out by the darkness once Jabran took the silver sword, it's only one spirit here that is beside her, Themon, as he is always beside her, in good and in bad. Lends his, well, not wisdom to say, or basically the spiritual guidance that she has from it. So again, it's still there. She's in this place there. Everything is dark around her, and there's just this one singular spot that is just this bright light, this bright, almost flame-like light that flickers within this completely dark realm that she is in, and that gives her some sort of comfort, some sort of relief. Maybe it's a place where she likes to go, to like sort of like a happy place, so to speak. And that's basically where she is mentally. She is in a very mentally taxing space here. Normally there's like she has normally like a lot of voices that talk to her, and she trained enough to be to like face those voices out, these voices of the spirits that are all present in the world, especially in this darkened and very dangerous place. There's always spirits around, and she's able to or she's mostly able to phase them out, and most of the time she's like occupied with something else. But this place has a different effect on her, a different effect that she was not, or she did not know yet, or she didn't. It's a kind of different feeling to her. So where normally she suddenly like faces a desolation or a she feels now more to be alone, because this place is completely void of spirits. like except for those spirits like Kaivan and Themon, and Themon is just there because it's bound to her dagger. But this plays like there's no single other voice in there, so she feels more alone than she ever has. And it's not something like, normally it's when you like have like a constant noise all around you and suddenly this thing stops and it's just like silence. This is like something that's quite unnerving, quite strange, when you always have this background noise and it's just suddenly gone. And she feels the same here, and she feels like a mental pressure that comes as well with this place that is encroaching to her, just because she is maybe more attuned to forces, spiritual or mystical forces that are present in the world, and especially in this place. It is more like pressure that comes into her, and she just goes into this place just to feel something, just to have like an anchor where she could still feel somewhat safe. And Themon is this place, is this spiritual anchor that she needs in this time where she doesn't have any anchor at all. And just being there mentally with him, she feels safe again. But of course, just leaning into this part of power, of the spirituality, has the consequence of her losing herself. Like, it's when your fantasy takes over, I mean, when you disconnect yourself like from reality, there is this problem, or this danger that you can just lose yourself. It's just always living in this fantasy and forget everything around yourself. You bring yourself in much more danger than it is, and it's sometimes it's easier to just escape into this fantasy, to escape reality, to don't have to bother with it, where you can go where everything is fine, where everything is happy, where there's no problems, where you don't have to think about anything. And that's what's happening to her. She begins to disconnect from the real world, and so basically placing a void in her physical representation in this world. Still, her body is still there. It's just her mind that's starting to drift off, that maybe giving in into the spirituality, giving in into the into this fantastical place, into her happy place, into being with Themon. Within this void, or within this space, the darkness can creep in. That is what the dark, or this dark fog that emanated from Kaivan and is now creeping over to her and starting to, as I said, from below, starting to encompass her completely. It's this void that this darkness wants to seek out. That is the thing that it wanted. Whereas Katania wants to flee this physical place and go into the spiritual place to be with her Themon again. The darkness has maybe the opposite plan. It wants to gain access back into the physical world, and having a puppet or having a physical body to fill is just something that's very enduring to it, very helpful for it. So it starts to creep along and starts to begin to creep into even the spiritual world, getting into the conscious mind of Katania as she's still there. And within this completely dark space where there's just this flame that represents Themon, there is another light, another energy is starting to manifest itself, trying to take over this mind and body in the end, to push away, and it's whereas the flame of Themon is more of a bright yellow one that extrudes warmth, extrudes comfort. This one is more in a bluish color. It is as well more like aggressively flickering. It has this blue tint to it, cold, and it's starting to it's flickering more and more. It's starting to flicker over the or into the other flame of the warm flame of Themon, trying to snuff it out, trying to take control, to take more space within this limited mind or spiritual place within Katania's mind. So the darkness begins to creep into it, to trying to take hold, and it's now becoming more of a fight within the mind of Katania. Normally this darkness is taking over spirits that have spirits and bodies that have died, where the energy, the power is limited, where there is no mental barrier or active mental barrier against the darkness using it. But Katania, being having lived long enough with his spiritual bond and still being alive, although suffering from stress and maybe a bit harm, she's capable of giving a better fight against this darkness. So she is able to start to resist the thing entering. But at the same time, this presence is trying to use her state, her current state, and her current dependence, maybe on the comfort that the Themon's spirit still extrude, as a way to combat her, as a way to encroach quicker into her mind. So I would say that this here is a somewhat of a challenge that I can do, or I can try here. She is trying now to fight against it, a fight against this dark presence that starts to encroach. It's not something that isn't aware of. She sees or she feels this presence encroaching her. And it's now a fight against it to not start to give into its powers, or into its maybe promises that it gives it. As we explored, this darkness stems from a place where it tries to get power, where it tries to get, where it feeds on anger, on fear, on greed, power above all else. And this is something that maybe is also alluring a bit to Katania. Maybe the lure of power over her powers that she has. She's fearing them to a point because she doesn't fully understand them. So it's like a promise that the darkness could give it. Something that to feel her needs that she wants to. That's what is encroaching to her, and she is starting to see where it could be beneficial to her, or where it could help her, maybe to some extent. And this darkness is starting to filling her mind with these ideas, to abandon everything, to let the darkness help her. Let it be the guiding pillar, not the other ones. And it starts to like fill her with the promise of helping her understand, of helping her overcome, or to get the power that she wants, or to control that she wants, is maybe the better thing to say here. So she begins to do that, and this is a move which is called Face Danger. So she misses here, which is bad. So she is listening to this. I mean, she's this thing just popped into her head, so to speak. It just entered her consciousness and starts to speak. And the things that it promises her is enduring for her. It's hitting a nerve, so to speak. It's getting into what is a primal fear, or a primal need that she has here. She's listening, and she thinks, yeah, I mean, I have to just give in, to learn everything that is, like it's a shortcut to learning about her powers. And I mean, when it can help, it can help. And she doesn't see the immediate danger behind it. So it is like giving her in, like encroaching her mind with that idea. So she is like, her mental capacity, her mental defenses here are getting weakened by this. She's like starting to give in the temptation of this promise, of this offer that the darkness is giving it. So she endures stress here. That's a strong hit. So she's starting to fight against it. She's starting to see the darkness it represents. But she's still starting to, I mean, her capacity or her mental defenses are weakened. She's even though she has a strong hit here, she still embraces the darkness. But it allows her to fight back. It allows her to see what is maybe that there is something sinister behind it. There is something that there's a catch behind the promises. There's a catch on letting this darkness into her mind and into her body in the end. And she can feel it, the loss of control she gets, a loss that she thought she wouldn't have anymore. It promised starting to have control, and so losing the control here is something that she is, which is contradicting to her what she wanted. She hoped to get control. She didn't want to lose the control out of it. I think she uses that power here, and she sees as well as the darkness is encroaching in her mind, that the flame of Themon is getting lower and lower, smaller and smaller, as the darkness is starting to fill out this place, to aggressively flicker against its flame. And she's trying now to use reconnect maybe to this part of her, capacity to reconnect with Themon, to maybe find a way out, to help her against this presence that starts to creep into her. So she tries to reconnect with Themon. She tries. She hopes that when she reconnects to him, that this will help her as well. That this will help her. To help her maybe to overcome this. She can see now. She can sense now the danger that this power represents, that is coming into her. She tries to reconnect with Themon. That is. She's trying to secure an advantage against this dark power. And another strong hit as she rolls here with securing advantage with heart. So she can feel losing her bond with Themon. So she tries to, as I said, she went into this place in the first place to reconnect, or not to reconnect, to get a place of hope, to get back to a place of safe, so to a safe place. She starts to feel that this bond is loosening, that she's losing her grip, and that the warmth that Themon extrudes as space that gave her this sense of security is starting to get colder and colder as the darkness is taking hold over it. So she tries to reconnect. She tries to hang on to this last sliver that she has of this thing, and her trying to reconnect to Themon, trying to counteract, to fight against the darkness, to maybe getting hope out of her own volition, to get out of her own power, to find hope, to be maybe the stronger one in this relationship, so to speak. So whereas she always before went back to Themon to comfort her, she is now the comforter. She is now the one that is starting to be the active one instead of just the passive one, just receiving the comfort. She is starting to think, or she's starting to realize and to understand that sometimes, or that she is capable of herself, of accessing to her own, to accessing her own happiness, to be her own happiness, to be her own comfort in difficult times where where there are difficult times always in this world. She doesn't always have to go back and run back to Themon. She doesn't always have to run back to even Chebron, which she looks up as a sort of mentor and maybe father figure. But she realizes in this moment she doesn't have to. She's capable of her own, on her own. She doesn't really always have to go back. It's nice to have allies, to have friends, to have companions where she can go back to give her a place in this world. But she doesn't always have to rely on them. She doesn't have to be always the passive one. She is capable of her own very well, and it has been shown in the past that she's very capable of protecting herself. And that is what this realization is maybe even creeping over to Themon, something that maybe in his spiritual form he always tried to say to her, or to convey to her as well, that she doesn't have to rely on him, that maybe his time has even come, and she should let him go to an extent, that maybe the reason why he's still here, is bound to the dagger, is just because she wants him to, that maybe she is the one that's holding him here. That maybe she doesn't need to. He's happy to help, but happy. He's capable of helping her, but maybe she doesn't need to rely on him solely and always. Maybe she just also maybe rely on her own, that she's capable enough to do so, and this gives her a momentum. I would say this gives her an inner conviction, or an inner flow of saying, or of fighting against it more. She's now aware of its presence. She's now aware of what it represents, the negativity, or the darkness that it represents, all this greed and power and anger that's coming from the darkness. That is this iron curse that has endured here, and she's starting to fight back. Now she's seeing it what it is, and she's now trying to actively fight back with her mind, with her spirituality, and she's very capable. She's again a strong hit. I roll really well today, and of course the bonuses on all of this isn't that bad. So she's now getting back to control that she at the beginning lost. At the beginning, where she when she was in a more in a state where she thought she just give up on everything. Now she's fighting back, and she's fighting back hard. She sees now the darkness, and whereas Gibran and Nasana fight in the physical world against it, she is fighting now within the spiritual world to fight back against it. She is envisioned by her own catharsis that she doesn't have to rely on others that much, that she needs to, that she's capable on her own, that she has the power on her own. She is using that to fight back, and fight back hard. And whereas this bluish flame that flickered constantly, and is was growing and growing, is now shrinking. It's lashing out. There's like spurts of where it tries to like longer like tendril or tendril-like pieces that are lashing out to like grab against her mind and against Themon, which is getting stronger again, which is empowered by the spirit of Katania herself, of her resolve, is emboldened by it, is starting also now to get back as well, and if this dark spirit could scream, it would do so as its spiritual lashed out against it. Katania feels emboldened enough to prod the darkness's mind, so to speak, to prod the darkness's spirit. Maybe with the help of Themon, she tries to find out what it is, what it wants, why it is here, why it is haunting them, why it is haunting this place, why it is haunting the world, maybe to some extent. She wants to know. Now she has that she feels of having this advantage over it, to maybe find out something here, to maybe use this to make to get a step ahead for once in this whole story, to get ahead of whatever is happening within here. So she is trying to gather information from this being, which is kind of odd within this place. So she rolls for gather information here. Another strong hit for this gather information. And she's now like getting a lot of momentum out of that as well, which is just somewhat important here. But yeah, that is immense here, I would say. So she learns something from this spirit. She maybe finds out something about this spirit. I would say that this darkness that is here is, as we have maybe established in the last few episodes, is that as all of them were here imprisoned because they were followers of Zaan, and Zaan was this warlord, which was here in the beginning when the Iron Lands were discovered and first conquered, so to speak, and he was the one that was in the sense of, this is a new beginning and I want to be the ruler of it all, and in his sense maybe the even mystical and magical presence that seems to be stronger here in the Iron Lands, and he started to wage war mostly against his own people, to place himself as the first and only and most powerful ruler there is and there will be in the Iron Lands. And he was out for power, power and fortune and whatever comes with it. And of course, he then was thwarted by the people at some place, and then was imprisoned together with all his followers that envisioned his own or its values, its ideas that there was. And this darkness, this fog here that tries to get hold of Katania, it's not Zaan itself, but it is maybe one of a spirit of one of the soldiers or one of the followers of Zahn. But as I said, these new lands, this new world, these Iron Lands, there is magical and mystical energy within these lands, within the ground, and within the air, and within the water, that is far more that maybe did its own thing, did it and empowered these inner feelings of these people, and empowered it and enlarged it. Well, not enlarged it, but and increased it, heightened it, magnified it, augmented it to a point where it became a power of its own. And maybe the iron that they used to forge their weapons, to forge manacles, and to forge the prison bars here, it was like a sort of catalyst of this curse. So the power, because that's the thing that they dug out of the ground. That's the thing that they dug out of the mountain, which is something that the old ones, the firstborn, never did. They knew what came with this thing. They were more into the silver, which is more the ones that is pure. And this iron, it's dark. It even is dark within when it is in the ground. And the Ironlanders stayed, and especially the followers of Zahn, they dug out every piece of iron that they could, forged weapons out of it, and laid war and devastation across the land with it. So it became a catalyst of the magic that was in, or the mystical powers that were within the ground itself, and it rendered itself to corrupt their minds and to corrupt all Ironlanders in a sense, and still is corrupting the Ironlanders as we speak. And Katania learns this, and this spirit that is here, that's maybe like a soldier or a follower of Zahn that is still here, is a testament to that. That's what they end up with if you at one point give in completely into the corruption, long after it has consumed your body, and turns your body into more iron to fuel the corruption, more iron to fuel the war and death and devastation that comes within the land. So it's an endless cycle. As the iron is cutting you and you die with iron in your blood, your body begins to convert into more iron that is filled with this dark energy and this dark greed and hunger, which then gets dug out by other people, forged into weapons, and then again, just like a cycle, a vicious cycle of iron that gets get on and on. The corruption, it gets on and on. That maybe started with Zahn, the first one that dug out the iron to kill other people and to do this. It may have been way back in the past, maybe when the firstborn first used the iron, they had the same thing, and at some point they cut the circle by no longer using the iron, and so it lay dormant within the ground until the Ironlanders came, dug it up, and forged the weapons out of it to begin the cycle anew. And that is what Katania learns, and that is what is maybe also something that is deeply concerning for Katania as well. To get this information, to get this knowledge on what happens here. It's probably not really helpful. Well, it's only half helpful to know that she knows of it, and then she will probably convey this information if she survives this to as well Jabran. But I mean, convincing the Ironlanders to no longer use iron is probably a very difficult thing to do, and something that she probably doesn't seem to be thinking herself to be capable of. So maybe in a fit of rage and anger, she tries to lash out against this dark spirit as well. It's quite it has quite shrunken so far, but I mean, she still lashes out. Maybe in a fit of rage, she does so, and she faces some more danger. Yeah, so I earn a weak hit here by burning as well as some momentum here, which I gain. So she uses her knowledge that she gains, the maybe power and control and realizations and catharsis that she got to fight against it, and in some of her rage, she mentally lashes out to this dark spirit. And for a split second, of course, the dark spirit that is thriving on rage in itself is using that as fuel to itself. And Katania realizes that maybe a bit too late, and backs off mentally to no longer. The harm maybe is done. The spirit regains a bit of its power where it has lost it before, but Katania feels now confident enough to snuff it out, to repel, or to at least repel it from her body and her mind completely. So she is trying to conclude this scene challenge at once. And she succeeds with a strong hit. She, with the help of Themon, is encroaching over this dark spirit, and it backs away, again getting smaller and smaller, trying to lash out with like this tendrils, but it gets smaller and smaller, and Themon's presence gets stronger, maybe more bright, maybe it gets redder and redder, and encompasses it the other spirit, completely encroaching over it, and the spirit having no hold anymore in the mind of Katania, is backing away, and we now cut back, so to speak, back outside, to as Nasana and Jabran have fought Kaivan here, and see the body drop and see the fog creeping over to Katania. And they can see as the darkness is slowly and reaching up from the floor up to her to complete her body, where she once was like completely encompassed by this dark fog around her. The fog seems to be compelled back, seems to be getting out, and maybe like be pushed back for something. And Nasana, seeing an opening here, jumps forward as quickly as she can. She still has. She was fighting with a small silver dagger and her one of her swords, and realizing the importance of protection, she lashes out, or she jumps out and tries to like knock the iron dagger that she holds out of her hand, and to put a silver dagger in it to give maybe some sort of power or protection to Katania. she leaps out and she sees the opening from the from the fog, and she uses that to knock out the dagger from her hand, and placing the silver dagger into the hand of Katania. But Katania's grip on the iron dagger is too strong, but it seems not to be necessary. The runes on the dagger are beginning to light brightly, as maybe the keen has activated, as the spiritual energy has reached its goal on spiritual power, and the fog just in a sudden burst just dissipates in every direction, like short of an explosion, so to speak, like a spiritual explosion, and gets out. Katania just opens her eyes and sees Nesana in front of her, and the runes on the dagger begin to fade out again. Katania just sees Nesana in front of her with basically a dagger in hand, and she takes a step back and holds her dagger in front of her to protect herself. So she thinks, okay, maybe the spirit has gone into her and is now trying to fight. I don't have to fight her. And she's getting into this stance, and Nesana seeing that she is getting that, and and Nesana as well backs away and tries to be not as intimidating as providing an intimidating presence. So she is. They just stand there, both holding a dagger, and Nesana then just saying, "Take this silver dagger as a protective thing against the dark spirits here. It seems to help." And Katania just looks over to Gibran that is standing there with a silver sword in his hand, and he just nods and says, "Yeah, it seems to help." He doesn't understand how, but he feels less stressed. He seems more calm since he has this sword in hand. She should take the dagger. It's her it's her weapon anyway, and in her mind she can hear Themon agreeing, saying to her, yes, she should take the dagger. And then Katania as well utters the word, which she means more to Themon in how he helped her in this mental fight, so to speak. But of course, because she utters them under her breath a bit loudly as well, Nesana and Gibran could hear them and maybe mistake them for being meant to them. And she just says, "Thank you," and then takes the dagger out of Nesana's hand, and immediately she feels like the weight of the world lifts from her shoulder. She feels even more calm, a calmness that she only felt so far when she was with Themon. in her mental palace, but that she now understands she doesn't have to rely on. So all in all, this gives her just now some really helpful pause to everything. And that is where we end today's episode. So yeah, this was again an interesting episode, I have to say. Explored a bit more in what comes of the spiritual world, what comes of this iron, to maybe give more background to this iron curse, to what I will call now the cycle of iron. There is something very interesting to get back on, and probably also something that Katania now has made a bit progress on her own vow, on her own quest to understand more about her magic, which she maybe does not fully yet or more yet, but she is now more in the sense of that she doesn't have to rely on it completely. That is a tool and not a something to just go back to every time there's a problem. That she's capable of her own. That she doesn't have that. Not the magic is that makes her powerful, but herself. So this is also something that she learned here now as well. So yeah, very interesting episode again, I would say, and I hope the next one will be as interesting as well. We've now spent a lot of time within here, but we learned a lot of the world as well in this place. So we'll see how this then continues on in the next episodes, and I would like and hope to hear you again.